So welcome, Alicia, to Escape the Rat Race Radio. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you.
It's
You?
really, really good to catch up with you. Yeah, I'm fantastic, thank you. And I haven't seen you or spoken to you for ages, but we've known each other pretty much like since the beginning of this whole journey of financial freedom and independence. And it's been an exciting one. Really looking forward to hearing your story today, Alicia. So before we get stuck in, can you just please tell everyone listening what business you're in and what specifically that involves day to day?
Yeah, so my partner Ollie and I, we're both in property, and we invest in high-end HMOs in Crawley, West Sussex, and basically that entails us finding suitable properties, refurbishing them to a high standard, and then letting them out. And we do this for clients, and we also do this for ourselves.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Now, we all split today's escapee interview into three parts, and that's where you were, where you are now, and where you want to get to. So first part now, would you tell our listeners where you used to work, Alicia, and what you used to do?
Yeah, so I worked as an administrator for the special needs department in a secondary school in a town close by to where I live.
Okay, great. And can you describe at what point you realised that you didn't want to work for somebody else any longer? And what were some of the first steps that you started to take to start changing that situation?
Yeah, so I think really I've always wanted to have my own business ever since being a really young child, but I never really knew what I wanted to do. And obviously I then entered the world of work and had experience of varying degrees of bad management along the way. But there was one particular incident. I had a manager who she bullied people who weren't submissive, and her and I did not get on at all. And it was through working with her, as much as it was bad at the time, it was through working with her that I really kind of drilled home to me the impact that people can have on you if you let them. And it kind of said to me, right, you need to get out of here. You need to do what you wanted to do. And so, yeah, from there, we actually had a free property seminar fall in our lap that we attended. And it kind of opened up the gates of, oh, wow, this is what we could do. So that's where it started, really. But it was that bad experience at work that gave me that push, I would say.
Yeah. And can you remember what year that was, roughly?
That was 2014.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much just about when we first met, isn't it? And
yeah.
You and Ollie. Yeah. So what was it exactly then that helped you settle upon a decision as to what you were going to do to focus on to generate that additional income stream and allow you to quit your job?
Well, yeah, like I said, we were quite lucky in that this email just landed in our lap. You know, we weren't necessarily looking for it. We always thought property was a good idea, but this came along, we went along, and then we're like, oh, okay, so we could actually educate ourselves here and learn how to do this. And that was the starting point. So from there, we then did other courses, and then the long nights of work and the working weekends to build your dream kind of started. So it was that kind of initial commitment, I suppose, of you have to put the work in. Yeah.
And that was through some of those courses through Progressive Property, right?
Yeah,
which is Rob and Mark, and obviously Rob has been a previous guest on Escape the Rat Race Radio as well. So you took some education, and education is always the first step, you know, to get to understand the asset class that you're going to focus on, whether it's business, property, whatever. So you got the education there, Alicia, and what were some of the critical decisions that you had to make, or kind of parameters that you set yourself before you decided when was exactly the right time for you to be able to quit your job?
Yeah, so I mean, Ollie, my partner Ollie, he'd actually quit his job the summer before. So by the time I quit my job, we were actually still trying to sort of make up his income. So I was quite nervous about giving up, but it got to the point that we were losing business because I was trying to juggle our business, still working. We've got 2 kids, and obviously all the household stuff that needs to be done. And so it was that kind of losing business that kind of woke me up and thought, right, you're going to have to take the leap now. It's not all your ducks are not lined up in a row, but you need to kind of make a decision here. So yeah, I suppose after Christmas 2017, Ollie was trying to pester me to give it up, but I think it took me a couple extra months to then actually take that leap and pluck up the courage. So.
And do you remember your Escape the Rat Race date, the actual last day at work?
Yeah, so it's quite significant for me. My last and final date was actually my daughter's birthday. So it was the 13th of March, 2018. And the reason that's significant is I had my daughter at age 16. And so to date, all the jobs I'd done had been what fitted around being a parent and not really anything that really inspired me or kind of got me going or whatever. So to give up that job that I'd done pretty much for her, which suited her, on her birthday, to now pursue something that was going to benefit her even more and her brother, for me was quite significant, quite emotional. So yeah, I definitely remember it.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, that takes us into part 2 then, Alicia, which is where you are now. So first question is so how long ago is it then since you quit the rat race, approximately?
So yeah, it's pretty much 10 months.
Okay.
Really quick.
and in that 10 months, what are 3 of the biggest realizations that you've had since you made that transition from employee to business owner?
Yeah, so I mean, I was thinking about this, and I suppose mine are quite practical in that the first one is that it takes so much longer than you expect or perhaps hope. I think we all hope it's going to take, like a few months and we're going to be out and this, that and the other. And for some people that's true. And I think when you look at the education companies, they always put forward their best pupils, if you like. And no one's saying that they're lying, but they perhaps have different circumstances and different other commitments that they have to work around. Whereas when Ollie and I started, we were both still doing degrees with the Open University. We obviously had one child already. I was pregnant with our other child. And it's going to take longer. You've got other things to fit in, and that's okay. You don't need to get out in 3 months. I know we'd all like to, but it's kind of, perhaps being inspired by other people, but not letting that put you down and sort of drag you down. Just thinking, right, I'm on my own journey, and it's going to take as long as it needs to take, but you will get there in the end. The other realization is that sometimes you have to accept help, and I'm pretty rubbish at that. It's not necessarily a pride thing, but I don't like the feeling that my situation or circumstances might impact someone else. So I don't like asking for help very often, but one instance, my mother-in-law, bless her, she would come over to our house and she'd see my ironing pile grow and grow and grow into this mountain, and she'd say to me, "Oh, let me help you." And I'd say, no, it's fine, I can do it. And it got to the point where I'm not going to do it, or I am going to do it. I'm going to be doing it in the early hours of the morning. And she said, "Look, I want to help you. I can help you in this, and it means you can focus on your business." And she's right. And so now I do still do the ironing, but she also helps me. And so it's a workload that's shared, and it just takes a bit of pressure off in one area. So yeah, sometimes you do just have to accept help, and there's no shame in it. As much as I still struggle with that feeling, I've kind of come around to trying to accept it. And I suppose my third thing is that things in business change so quickly. So one day you might be sort of tearing your hair out and feeling like the sky is falling and, oh my goodness, what am I going to do about this? And it's, scary. And then you kind of take a step back and you think, hold on a minute, I know how to solve this. This is what we're going to do. And almost like the next day you're thinking, why was I so worried about that? It's actually, everything's got a solution and everything can be worked through. So, yeah, I think it's a famous saying, isn't it? If you're an entrepreneur, you've got to love the roller coaster, because it is so true. You have so many ups and downs, and you have to be grateful for the ups and the downs, because they make you into a better person, a better business person. So yeah, those are my 3 realizations.
Fantastic. I love those ones. I really do. And yeah, always saying as well that you've got to play the long game with this, and it always takes longer and it always costs more money than you expect as well, especially in the world of property, as you know.
Oh, yeah. You could have flown around the world like 3 times by now.
That's it. So what's the one thing that you love most about having your own business, would you say, Alicia?
100% is the freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, when I worked in a school, for example, we were able to accrue minutes of time. So we normally accrue them in sort of 15 minutes. And I remember quite often my daughter's school would say, "Oh, we're holding this event in the day, parents are welcome." And I'd have to look how many minutes I'd accrued and see if I could make it. And the number of times I had barely enough minutes, and I'd be sprinting out the door on my lunch break and then getting there. And I remember one instance in particular, they were making soup for the mums and dads at my daughter's school. And I basically sprinted there, like golfed down this soup in like one go and had to sort of run back out to get back to work in time. And I remember thinking, why am I doing this? You know, I want to be able to go to my daughter's thing and support the school rather than rushing around. So for me, that is the biggest thing, is the freedom that it gives you, that, you know, I work much harder now than I ever have. However, if there's a really important thing to do with the kids or to do with anything, I can make that decision about my life, whether I'm going to go to that or I'm going to stay and work. It just, that is everything to me.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. So part 3, where you want to get to, and I'm sure this will be really interesting for those listening. Did you set yourself any goals or targets when you decided to leave your job and start your business, and have you reached those yet?
So Ollie will tell you I am rubbish at setting goals. I'm not very good at it, but I do try. So ultimately, I think out of the two of us, I'm more a doer and Ollie's more a planner, and so therefore we work quite well together. But in terms of setting goals, yeah, like I said, I find it quite difficult. However, I did set one goal when I left, and that was, and I don't know why, because I'm not particularly totally financially driven, but I sort of thought, okay, I can understand this goal, and I set my goal of earning 100 grand, and it was quite big. I thought, well, you know, okay, let's go for it. And actually, we're sort of just short of earning 80 grand at the moment, so not quite there. But in terms of me setting that goal and thinking it was totally out of reach, actually, I'm not far off. So yeah, that's the goal that we set. That's really good.
So do you feel now, Alicia, that you've got greater potential to achieve those bigger life goals now that you've got more control over your time?
Yeah, so I think when you work for yourself, you are 100% accountable. And that means that anything that you do or do not achieve is directly down to your commitment and your performance. So you haven't got anyone to hide beneath. You haven't got, you're not waiting for someone to pick you out of a crowd to say, yep, you've got talent or you've got the correct work output or whatever. It's directly down to you. And that is scary, but it also means that you've got 100% control over your destiny. As cliche and as cringy as that might sound, it really is true.
Yeah, straight out of a Tony Robbins book there. Yeah. But I think, you know, when you were explaining that there, it makes me think back to your comment you made earlier about this entrepreneurial roller coaster, and I refer to that a lot as well. And I think the reason why it can be such a roller coaster perhaps is because, as you say, when you have good days and things go well, it's completely down to you, your efforts. So you feel amazing. But then when days go really bad, it's down to you. So you really beat yourself up and go, oh my God, I'm useless, or why didn't I do it that way? And so it is quite a big swing, isn't it, between the highs and lows? Yeah, it really is. And that's it. You sort of, on the days where you want to sort of pat yourself on the back, you take that really well. But on the other days, you've got no one to kind of say to you, oh yeah, it's all right, you did do, you know, you've done a good job. Or even if you haven't, someone to sort of say, why didn't you do better today? Like, why have you not done this? I suppose I'm quite lucky in that Ollie and I work together, and so the two of us do work well, but that also has its challenges in that we're each other's life partners. So if one of us pulls up the other one, there's issues in that as well. But it's, you know, it's something that we really enjoy, and we'd much rather have that pressure and that responsibility than not, really. Yeah, absolutely. So last question then, Alicia, what's the one most important thing that you believe is going to help you in your property business over the next 12 months? Okay, so this is going to sound really cliche as well, and I hate cliche things. However, having done so many years of not looking after myself directly, in the sense of, you know, committing everything to the business and the degrees and all this kind of stuff, I have really neglected going to the gym, taking care of myself and all that kind of stuff, which I've been perfectly happy to do. It is something that when you go into this, you have to understand there's going to be sacrifices, and you have to be willing to make those. However, getting to the point now where 10 months into giving up my day job and now having so much more time to commit to the business, I'm finally able to look at
going back to the gym and looking after myself, which I genuinely believe will have such an impact on growing our business further, because you have that downtime, you have that relaxing time, you have that time where you feel, okay, I'm not just giving 100% of myself to everything and everyone else. I'm actually taking a little bit of time to do what I want to do. And I think that's a really good place to get to, but it's kind of difficult to have that in the beginning, but it is something that comes. And it's sort of, it's just the natural progression, really. So I'm appreciating it.
Yeah, it is about balance, and it's so difficult when you especially when you have a job and you only have a finite amount of time to work on your business, and you can just find yourself working, and you neglect your friends, your social life, your health, and all of these things. So yeah, I think that's a smart move, Alicia. I'm sure that will pay off. Well, look, it's been fantastic speaking with you today, but the final words before we leave, for anyone listening right now, they might be squashed up on that train or on their way to work, stuck in a traffic jam, and they really, really want to do something different with their lives, but there's something holding them back. It might be fear. It usually is. What would you like to say to those people listening right now?
So the biggest thing is to get started in some way or another. Get started, whether that's reading a book or going to a course or just doing a bit of internet research into the areas that you want to perhaps get into, and then knuckle down. And I sort of touching on the point before, you have to be prepared that there are going to be sacrifices, and you have to look at it and think, right, for the next 3 months hopefully, but it's probably more likely a year or 2 years, however long it's going to take you, it is going to be tough. You are going to be working late into the evening, possibly weekends too. It is going to be really difficult. However, it is totally achievable, and it is so worth it when you get there. So it's kind of short-term pain for long-term gain.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. You've done tremendously well, Alicia, and it's great to see, your onward progression along with Ollie. And of course, Ollie was a previous guest on Escape the Rat Race Radio as well. So good to have the pair of you now on board. And I look forward to the next time that we meet up. And I might even pop in for a cup of tea when I'm down your way on Friday.
Yeah, exactly. No, you'd be more than welcome. And thank you so much for having me. I'm really honoured to be on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks, Alicia.
Take care.